Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today we're going to be inspired by the storybook Fancy Nancy, and we're going to create a very fancy cat. And my kindergarten students today have just received this beautiful cat that I made from an Accucut machine, and I punched these out and I gave one to every student. And so our job today is now to design this cat very fancy, just like Fancy Nancy did with her puppy in her book. And I actually have a little Fancy Nancy puppy right here. And so we can put fancy things on it like bows on the ears. She even put some makeup on the ears, on the tips, little pink. So we can use our imagination like Fancy Nancy, and we can decorate our cat very fancy. The first thing we need to do, of course, is to get a little face on our cat. So we're going to take a Sharpie, or you can just use a regular colored marker, and we're going to go into the very center, and we're going to draw a straight horizontal line. And we're going to exaggerate these features a little bit. That means make them a little bit bigger than normal, just so it's extra fancy. From here, we're going to draw the letter V. So we're going to go down and back up. The letter V. And then we're going to do a number 1. And we're going to come around and up. This is part of the smile. Around and back up. That forms the mouth. And we can do the chin of the cat right in here. So I'm going to do a number 1 and a number 1 on each side. And I'm just going to bring it in together. And some kids like to put a little tongue or have the mouth opened. So this is where the mouth would be, or a little tongue sticking out. So it's just a curve here. Now we're going to get some big, beautiful eyes. So I want some nice size circles. So if you imagine my fingernails, we're going to place them on the center of both of these spaces here. And this is where our eyes are going to be, some nice, big, beautiful eyes. So on this area, I'm going to start off with a circle on this side. And I'm going to the other side and making another circle. And then I'm going to do a curve. It's going to be like a rainbow curve. So I'm going to come down and down. Down and down. And the pupil is a black dot in the center. And then we can do the bottom lid of the eyes too. So just connect the lines to the circle, the line to the circle. So right now we just have the basics in. So let's add a really beautiful collar now, because most cats do have a collar. So come down and around. I don't make it straight across. Down and around. And then I'm going to add a center to the collar here. And we can add things to this later that make it really fancy, like some jewels or some glitter or some sparkle. Let's do some design now in the ears. I'm going to make a line go up and back. It's almost like a letter A, up and back, but I don't cap or don't put the middle in. Up and back. It gives me some centers inside the ear. Now we're going to add pattern to our cat. Now we can get really fancy with our pattern. We can do some imaginary pattern as well. So maybe our fancy cat has patterns Maybe it has hearts all over its body. Maybe it's got a pattern of flowers all over its body. Maybe it's got zigzags all over its body, or patches of color, or patches of rainbow colors. So use your imagination and we can decorate this really fancy. If you want to decorate the foot, we can come over like this. This is a sitting cat. And you can put some toe lines in. You can even do toenails and put some fingernail polish on the toenails when you're done. If you want to put the leg in like he's sitting, I come to the very middle. I'm coming up and back. See, up and back. And this comes diagonally down. And then I can connect it to my leg. It almost looks like a giant number 2.
Mine just look like number 3.
Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some pattern to this. We can add pattern with our crayons. We can add pattern with paint, or we can add pattern with some oil pastel. Or we can add pattern with our marker first and then color it in. So I'm going to make mine really fancy. I'm going to do some wavy pattern on its tail. And I'm going to have him have a little patch of white tummy. So I'm going to make a line for white tummy, and I'll be coloring that in white. When I decorate my cat, I can even take some of the colors with oil pastel, and I can add patches of this bright color. Mine is going to be a pink patch cat. I've added my pink to my cat named Patches, and now I'm going to add some white whiskers. You could do white or gray. And I'm going to put some pink inside its ears. And I'm going to do a nice bright color for the a little tongue maybe sticking out. And for the eyes, I'm going to give it some beautiful bright blue eyes. Green eyes also look good on a cat too, a nice bright color. And then I'm putting the pupils back in the middle, just like so. And I may even give Patches some fur here on its tummy, some fur lines to make it really fancy. And some more fur lines here on its body. And I'm going to color the collar in to match the eyes, I think. A nice blue collar. And in the very middle of my cat collar, we're going to put a very fancy sparkly jewel. And the last thing we're going to do is glue it onto a very fancy piece of paper. Right like this.
Voila!
And voila, there we have our beautiful fancy cat. And here we have our fancy Nancy cats. And this is a few of my kindergarten examples today. Right here. I hope you enjoy the lesson and have fun creating your fancy Nancy cat.